Welcome back to a new episode of Mastering Programming. In today's episode, we're going to be continuing with the Spline tutorial. So the first episode I introduced what Spline is. Second episode, we went over the controls and we went over the different settings that you can do and also how to edit characters and how to add characters from the library. Now that we sort of have good understanding on how to add things and move things around, what I wanted to get into is how to create some animations. Very basic animations that move from one area to one area or maybe just rotate. And an example of that will be the subscribe character being moved on the screen now. Now, I'm not trying to trick you or anything, but it was a cool design, so I thought I would add it. But also at the same time, please do subscribe to the channel if you do like it. So we're actually going to be creating something very similar. And just to give you more understanding on what we're going to be doing, we're going to be using two different methods of creating animations. We're going to be using states, and we're also going to be using something in addition to states called path. Now, this is a very basic tutorial. We're not going to be too advanced into how to use these, but I just want to show you how we can use these two elements to create very basic animations, again, like the one you're seeing now, or also the one that we used earlier in the previous video, where it's just a character turning around, and it's very basic, but we're also going to be taking it a way step further than this. Now let's go ahead and actually get started. So I'm gonna go back into our home, and you can see the original one that I created is over here, but I'm going to start with a new file. And once it loads, we're just going to be loading into our editor. I'm not going to add any of these, so I'm just going to click outside of the screen just like that. Now again, if you want a refresher on what any of these do or mean, make sure you do check out my previous video. So it was this, and it goes through all the details of the Spline menu basically and how we can use it. Ignore my face there. So we're gonna go back, and the first thing I want to do is I'm going to be adding or changing the background from being gray to being green. And the reason for that is because I want to use this animation for my channel. So I want to be able to have it as a green screen, and that way I can just remove the color green and have it. So I'm just going to make it as green. You don't have to do this, but I personally do, and I think it just makes it look better. Now we're introduced here, and you can see that we start with a rectangle. I'm going to remove that rectangle because we're going to be using a different element. And what I'm going to be adding is I'm going to click on create new object over here. I'll click on library, and I want this to be a character, so I'm simply just going to be searching for character, and we get introduced with all of these. Now we can just pick something funny or something cute. I'm gonna go ahead and pick let's see, let's just search up for Grogu again. Yep, he was right there. There we go. So I'm just going to drag him onto my screen, and once it loads, you will see that he's over here. And if I click on play, we are able to move around him, and he is a 3D character. Now I'm going to click on this, and I am going to, let me just check what I did here. I changed his color to green, and that worked. Okay. So let's go back over here, and maybe because he is actually green, let's go ahead and change this to be a blue screen instead. That way we can pop off more. So the first thing that I want to do is just move our character from one area to one area and have that show as an animation. And then we're gonna go over way more details, like how to make him say hello, how to make him rotate, how to even make him go through a particular path or like an animation. Now the first thing that I want you to do is select a character, and it will select all the different elements inside. To avoid confusion, I'm just going to hide all the other elements so that we deal with Grogu on his own. We're gonna go on the right side here, and we're going to click on this plus icon, which will create two different things. Now we have a base state, and we've got state. This is the original sort of version of your character, and this is a new version that by default will have everything from the original or the base to state. Now the good thing about this is that aside from animations, you can have this with all these settings like this, and then if I click on state 2, we can actually set it up so that he is at this position, for example. So now if I click on base state, he's in the original, with the original colors, with the original sort of values. But if we go to the second state, we now have a different version under the same character that can be anywhere else. And it's not just a matter of position. We can actually choose the size, the color. Each single different element can have so many different states. So I'm going to drag him all the way to the end of the screen over here. And that way the base state, he's all the way on the left side, and the state is all the way on the right side. Version 1 on the left, version 2 is on the right side. Now this is the very first easy thing, but obviously now if I run this, there is no way for us to move him from one side to one side as an animation. Now I'm not getting into game controls or how to move like a character using like a button or hover. I'm just showing you how to make an animation that runs with the game. But later I'll be showing you how to actually like move him as if he's in a video game. So we're going to click on events, and this is when we get to decide how would we want this animation to start. Now here, if I click on start, you've got so many different options. You've got start, so as soon as the game starts, as soon as someone clicks on play, this animation starts. We can have it so that as soon as someone clicks a particular key, like a particular button, this runs. And we can have it drag and drop, look at, follow. There's so many different ways that we can get this animation to start. Just to make things easy, I'm going to select start, so as soon as the game starts, I want this to happen. And I'm going to click on transition. And transition is selected when anything in the actual element is being changed, such as location, which is what we're doing. So I'm going to click on transition, and then I'm going to click on this element here. And you've got a few different things that we can use. First of all, the target. Who do we want this animation to work on, or this event to be on? Grogu, which is our character. After that, we've got some different transitions. We want it to go from base state, so the original side where it was left, to state, which is the second one, which is all the way on the right. Now we also have so many different options here, so we can have it, we can select ease in, ease out, linear, ease. I recommend that you have a look at this yourself. There's so many different options and they're also cool and easy to select from. And on the right side, on the left side here, you've got how long you want the animation to run for. Is it 1 second? Is it 5 seconds? 3 seconds? Let's just make it, keep it as 1 second for now. And what I'll do is I'm actually going to create a delay. So this just means when we start our action, so when the game starts, how long should we wait until we trigger this animation? I'm just going to say 2 so that we actually get to see it. I'm going to click play, and we will realize that after 2 seconds, he moves all the way to the right side. Now let's make this a little bit more fun. First of all, I want this to last more than just 1 second. Let's make it last for 2 seconds. And we can come over here, and you can say how many times you want it to delay, to loop. So we're going to say infinite. That means it will loop infinitely. It will keep going backwards and forwards. And we can also select for it to be like a ping pong. So I'll show you. So it goes backwards and forwards rather than start, end, start, end. And it's better shown, so I'll show you that in a second. So if I run it now, it will wait 2 seconds, and it will take 3 seconds, but then it will go back, and it will just keep repeating this animation forever, basically. Now, let's stop this, and I want to show you over here that if I select something like none and click on play, what will happen is that it will continue to loop, but this time it will reach the destination, disappear, start, and go again, rather than going and keeping the character in a ping pong formation. Now, something else over here is that we can also specify how many times we want this to run. You might not want it to run infinitely. You might want it to run for 2 times. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put 2 times, or 2 over here. And if I click on play, now what you'll see is that it will go, here's 1 and 2, 1, and that's it. So it goes for 2 times, and that's it. It will stop, and it will stop in the location where it was, or the state that it was. So that is very cool, I guess, to move a character from one area to one area. Maybe you want it to be a door and you want to create an animation for that door, or maybe a character falling, or a character waving hello. And that's actually what we're going to be doing now. Now, to show the character saying hello, we're gonna have to say goodbye to Grogu, and instead let's select a character that will look cooler saying hello. So to do this, let's go ahead and click on the plus icon, we're going to click on library, and here we can search up character. And there's a specific one that I like using for this example, just because he's already like sort of set up to do that easily. We can use the girl blue and yellow. So let's go ahead and move her over here. Now obviously because she is blue, let's go ahead and change the background of our canvas to back to green. There we go, I think that will work. And what I want to do is I just want to move her around over here. Now let's reset the camera just to make sure that we're in the right location. And what I wanted to do is that based on the states, I want her to move her arm up and down, and we can do this very easily. I will show you how. So on the left side here, unlike Grogo, this person actually, or that this character has different areas selected. For example, if I want to select the left leg, I can hide the entire left leg. But then if I want to move something specific in the left leg, for example, just this piece over here, or maybe this piece, I can, which makes it easy for animations because the more elements you have separated, the more you can actually animate. So let's go ahead and select the arm. I want to select this one. And what I want to do is first, I want to rotate it so that it's facing that way. And I want to move it all the way at the top over here. And then I'm going to also rotate it like this. And all I want to do, again, this is very basic tutorial. I want her to move like this just to say hello. And so what we can do is first, let's set up a way where we're comfortable, or maybe we can actually start rotating her that way to say hello. I think that looks better. So we're gonna do that. So I'm gonna keep this like that, and I'm going to select our hand as a whole, so not the character. I'm just going to select arm left. We're gonna go over here, and we're gonna now have the base state and a normal state. So the base state is going to be like this. If we select state and we start rotating it so that it's that way, there we go, and that we're moving like this. Now what we can do is we can now create an event, and we'll have it as start, we'll have it as a transition. We're going to select this icon, and here it says from current, I want it to be base state to our second state, and 1 second is decent, that's good enough. I want there to be a delay of 2 seconds for when we start this, and I want it to loop infinitely, and I also want it to be as a ping pong, so that way it's like this rather than like this. Now if I go ahead and run this, it will take 2 seconds, but then you realize that she's starting to wave hello. And obviously this is very basic. There's so many ways we can do this better, where for example the bottom is not moving and it's only the right side at the top. In fact, let's have a look if we can do that now. So if I open the right arm, we can't because every little piece is on its own, so that will take too much time, but you get the idea behind the arm moving and saying hello. And again, same thing for here. If we want it so that this is going like up and down, or if the whole character actually as a whole is jumping up and down, we can definitely do it using states. Now that we've done this part, what I want to do now is I want to show you how we can move a character in a particular path or in a particular sort of look or method. So what I'll do is, again, let's say goodbye to our character over here, and we're going to click on plus, we're going to click on library, and I'm going to search up truck, and we're going to use a truck to basically move it from one area to one area. So we've got our truck over here, and what I'll do is I'll just set it up like this for now. Now what I'll do is I'll click on the plus icon over here, and I'm going to look for path, and we're gonna start like this. Now we want to have a first point and an end point. My launching point is going to be over here, and we can just keep doing it like this. So our car will start here and it will end all the way over there. Now we can also actually rotate this. So if I go ahead and select this, you can sort of like expand it and make it more circular or more roundy, I guess, and have like really cool designs. So we can have it like this, we can have this like that, we can have this like this, and that way it's like more curved, it looks more like a road. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this for now. I'm going to select our car, and on the right side at the bottom here you can see something that says align to path. So I'm going to select this and I'm going to select the path that we just created, and you'll see that straight away the car is sort of looking towards a particular direction. Now we can have it so that it's the world and it will just be how you want it to be basically, or we can have it tangential, and if I just rotate this, you'll see that it's sort of a little bit different, and if I go ahead and slide, you'll see that the car moves towards that direction. Let's make it world for now, and I'm just going to rotate this so that it's looking at us. And now you can see that as I'm moving this, as I'm moving the slider, the car is moving in that exact same path that we just created. And so by this, what I will do is I'll create two different states. I'll create base state, which will be over here, and the final state I want it to be all the way at the bottom. Now the best thing is that you can actually have 3 or 4 different states for each single point, and as you're clicking it switches, and I'll show you how to do that again. But for now, let's create an event, and it will be start. Again, it will be of type transition. We're going to select this, and we want the truck, we want transition 1 to be the base state, and we want it to go to state. We want this to last 4 seconds, and I want the delay to be 2 seconds, and we want it to be an infinite loop, so it's going to keep going backwards and forwards. Let's go ahead and run this and see how it will be. So we start off over there. After 2 seconds, the vehicle should move in that exact same path that we created, which I think is very cool, to be honest. And the best thing is that if I close this and make it tangential, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this word right, it will start. Now this is meant to be so that it automatically faces the direction, but we need to fix that a little bit. So for now, I'm just going to keep it as word. Now let's just start with our base state. Now I'm just going to zoom in a little bit, zoom out so we can see it. There we go. And right now it will just loop forever. It will keep going that way. Now what we can do is we can actually start removing that path, because if the car is moving, you don't want it to show that it's moving. So what we can do is we can select our path, and we can come over here and basically just hide the color from it and hide the lighting, and that way if I run this, the car will still move into that shape or into that sort of path without us actually seeing that path or seeing what's going on. Now before anything, I just want to show you how we can move a character from one area to one area using some buttons or using some clicks. And so what I will do is I'm actually going to go ahead and delete that path that we created, and I'm going to first rotate place the car all the way on the right side over here. We're going to click plus, and I'm going to create a path. This time the path is simply going to be from here all the way to there in a straight line. And what I want to do is I want to select the car. Again, we're going to align it to the path. There we go. And we're going to be starting over here. Now, unlike the second time where we just went in one go, what I want to do is that every single time we click on a 1, 2 or 3, it will take us to 3 different stages on that path. So what we want is this is going to be when we click on 1, this state, which is going to be over here, will be when we click on 2, And let's create a final state, state 2, and this one will be over there if we click on 3. So now how do we actually do this? Well, what we can do is we can create an event. Let's delete this original one. We're going to create one event, and instead of saying start, we want it to be on key press. So we want the key to be 1. So whenever 1 is clicked, we want to move from the base state to the normal state, and we don't want it to loop this time, we just want it to happen. And then we're going to create another event, and this one will be key press, and it will be number 2, and when 2 is clicked, we're going to be moving to our next state. So we're going to go from state 1 to state 2. Again, we don't want anything over here. So let's go ahead and click on start. Now this time, because we didn't have it set up for the animation to run when we click on start, I need to click. So if I click on 1, we go over here, and if I click on 2, it goes over here. Now you'll realize that if I let go, it goes back, and that's because we have it set up that key press. So as long as the key is pressed, we're still going to have it. If it's not pressed, then we go back to our original value, and so on. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you did learn how to create sort of like cool animations, or how to create cool characters moving around, or saying hello, or rotating. You can see throughout the tutorial that all the examples that went on the screen for the subscribe me were created using this. It's very cool, it's very easy to use, and I just hope more people can actually have a look at it and enjoy it. But if there's any confusion, or if there's any feedback on how I created these tutorials, please make sure you do leave it in the comments and let me know what I can do better to improve it. I hope you did enjoy it one more time, and I hope to see you in the next episodes coming up.